If you have the Citi Double Cash, Custom Cash, or any of the Strata cards, your card earns Citi ThankYou Points. In this video, I'll show you how to maximize the number of points that you earn, redeem your points for the most value, and I'll show you the ways that I have actually used Citi's transfer partners for both luxury and family travel. If you're looking for a masterclass on Citi ThankYou Points, that's exactly what you're going to get in this video. Let's get into it. ThankYou Rewards is the credit card rewards program offered by Citibank. If you're familiar with Chase Ultimate Rewards, Amex Membership Rewards, or Capital One Miles, well, this is the Citibank equivalent. There are 5 core cards that earn Citi ThankYou Points: the Citi Double Cash card, the Citi Custom Cash card, the Citi Strata card, the Citi Strata Premier card, and the Citi Strata Elite card. And points earned from any of these cards can be redeemed for a variety of cashback redemptions, used to buy gift cards, or transferred to airline and hotel transfer partners. Now, there are a lot of things that I like about ThankYou Rewards. When it comes to earning points for spending, Citi ThankYou Rewards is an excellent program. The Citi Double Cash allows you to earn 2 points per dollar, the Citi Strata card gives you 3 points per dollar in useful categories like gas stations and grocery stores, and the Citi Custom Cash can get you 5 points per dollar in a category that you can effectively choose by directing your spending. And that's before you even consider any of the cards that carry annual fees. But when you get one of these credit cards that has an annual fee, the value proposition of the ThankYou Rewards program goes up. That's because the premium cards unlock point transfers to partners at Citi's most favorable rates. And I'll get to how to use those a little bit later in the video. Now, Citi wasn't always the best when it came to redemptions, because until recently it didn't offer a US domestic airline transfer partner that was easy to use. But with the addition of American Airlines as a transfer partner, Citi now has a good mix of transfer partners that offer both relatively beginner-friendly options and partners that can get you outsized value for your points. That makes the program a great option if you want to start with earning cashback rewards and then transition into playing the transferable points game. Of course, like any program, ThankYou Rewards does have its downsides. The program is a little bit more complex than it needs to be in a few distinct ways. First, only the cards marketed as cashback cards, the Citi Double Cash and the Citi Custom Cash, give you the option to redeem your points for cashback at 1 cent per point. If you try to redeem your points for cashback rewards with the Strata cards, you'll find that your points are only worth 0.75 cents per point, and some legacy ThankYou Rewards cards offer even less. Fortunately, there's a way around this that I'll cover when I talk about redeeming rewards. Second, for a bank that markets its high-end Strata-branded credit cards as premium travel credit cards, Citi is relatively stingy when it comes to benefits like travel insurance protection. The Chase Sapphire Preferred and Chase Sapphire Reserve offer best-in-class credit card travel insurance benefits, but the offerings from Citibank are relatively laughable by comparison. But even some of the benefits that are common among other cards with no annual fee are missing from Citi's cards. While you can get purchase protection and at least secondary rental car insurance with most other cards with many other banks, you'll find that these benefits are missing from most of Citi's card lineup. Finally, the program is just generally more complex than it needs to be. Yes, you can earn points in a single account like you can with Amex, but you have to take the extra step of combining your ThankYou Rewards accounts, which often involves calling Citibank. And trying to figure out which points expire and when and if you ever cancel a card, well, that's a rabbit hole that could probably be its own video. So needless to say, like any program, there's some good and some bad. But let's talk about the real strength of the program, earning rewards from spending. When it comes to earning points, over the long term, you'll earn most of your ThankYou points from your spending on your ThankYou Rewards credit cards. And this is where the program really shines. Here's what each of the card earns on spending, and how I'd recommend you use each card, starting with the Citi Double Cash. The Citi Double Cash is a no annual fee card, which you should absolutely have in your wallet if you're collecting ThankYou points. The card earns 2% cash back, awarded as 1% when you buy and 1% when you pay on all purchases. Now, when I'm talking about these cards, I'm saying cash back, but don't worry, behind the scenes these cards actually earn ThankYou points. I'm just being consistent with how Citibank markets these credit cards. The Double Cash should be your default card for all purchases. If you're not earning 3 points per dollar or more on another card, just put that spending on your Double Cash. The Citi Custom Cash card is another no annual fee card that you'll want to have if you're collecting ThankYou points. That's because the card gives you 5% cash back on the first $500 you spend each statement cycle in the category where you spend the most during the month, and the eligible categories are on your screen. Now, the best spending strategy with the Custom Cash is to select one category and use the card only in that category during the month. The Custom Cash could be your gas card, your grocery card, your dining out card, your card to use at home improvement stores. Just pick one of the categories and stick with it. There's another video that I've got that goes into some of the creative ways to expand the 5% category, so check out the card on your screen if you want to dig deeper, but let's move on. Now we're getting into the cards that award bonus points in specific categories, starting with the Citi Strata card. The Strata gives you unlimited 3 points per dollar at gas stations and EV charging stations, at supermarkets, on a variety of transit purchases, and in a self-select category that you can choose. And in most cases, the Strata card should be your default card to use in all of these 3x categories, with a few exceptions, which we'll get to in a bit. Now, if you're going to be transferring points to airline and hotel partners, you'll want to have one of Citi's premium ThankYou Rewards cards in your wallet, either the Citi Strata Premier card or the Citi Strata Elite card. The Citi Strata Premier card has an annual fee of $95, and it gives you 3 points per dollar in a lot of the categories that the Strata card does: gas stations, EV charging, supermarkets. But it also gives you 3 points per dollar at restaurants, air travel, and on hotel purchases. And you'll get a whopping 10 points per dollar on hotels, car rentals, and attractions that you book through citytravel.com. Now, if you travel enough that it makes sense to pay a higher annual fee to get airport lounge access and a hotel credit, you might choose the Citi Strata Elite card instead of the Strata Premier. The Citi Strata Elite's annual fee of $595 gives you a lot of extra travel perks, and you can read about that in the guides that I have over at cardsandpoints.com, but as far as earnings go, here's what you get. 3 points per dollar spent at restaurants, but this gets doubled up to 6 points per dollar from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. US Eastern Time on Friday and Saturday night. And a whopping 12 points per dollar on hotels, car rentals, and attractions, plus 6 points per dollar on air travel that you book through Citi Travel. Now, exactly which card you use for spending will depend on the mix of cards that you have, but I'd recommend having at least the custom cash card for its 5% bonus category, the Citi Strata for its 3x categories, and the Citi Double Cash card for everything else. And if you want to play the transferable points game, add either the Citi Strata Premier or Strata Elite to your wallet and use those cards where they make sense. Okay, that's a lot of information, but I've laid that all out in a table in the Guide to ThankYou Rewards that you can find at cardsandpoints.com. But the bottom line is that in most categories, compared to what you'd earn in the Chase Ultimate Rewards or Amex Membership Rewards ecosystems, most people are likely to earn more points with Citi. Of course, spending on your cards isn't the only way to earn ThankYou points. You can also earn points from credit card welcome offers, and occasionally bank bonuses, and a few other ways. And if you want to dig into the details or find the best current welcome offers on those cards, well, the links are in the description. Now, I mentioned at the top that one of the ThankYou Rewards program's weaknesses is that it's a bit complicated. Well, this complexity really amps up when you start talking about redeeming rewards, but I'm going to try to simplify this for you as much as I can. When it comes to redeeming rewards, there are a lot of options with Citi ThankYou Points, but there are only 2, maybe 3 that you should really consider: cashback, transfers to partners, and maybe gift cards. And this is where things start to get complicated. Let's start with cashback. Only the cards marketed as cashback cards, the Citi Double Cash and the Citi Custom Cash, actually allow you to redeem your points for 1 cent per point of cash back. So if you redeemed 10,000 points from your Strata card, you'd only end up with $75 of cash back instead of the $100 you'd get with either the Double Cash or the Custom Cash. And when it comes to point transfers, while you can transfer points to most partners using any card that earns ThankYou points, you'll only get the best transfer ratios if you hold a card that you pay an annual fee for, meaning the Strata Premier or Strata Elite. So you can probably start to see the problem here. All of these cards earn ThankYou points, but only some have decent cash back redemption options, and only some let you transfer points to travel partners at favorable rates. Well, the solution is combining your ThankYou Rewards accounts. Once you've combined your ThankYou Rewards accounts, you'll earn points in a single pool that you can use for the best redemption options available from across all of the cards that you have. If you have a Double Cash or Custom Cash in your combined account, you can redeem all of your points for 1 cent of value each toward cash back redemptions, and if your combined account includes a Strata Premier or Strata Elite, you'll be able to transfer any of your points to Citi's ThankYou transfer partners at the most favorable rates. Combining your ThankYou Rewards accounts can sometimes be done online, but realistically, the easiest way to do this is to call the customer service number on the back of your card and have the ThankYou Servicing Center do it. See what I mean by unnecessary complexity? Well, fortunately, combining your ThankYou Rewards accounts simplifies a lot of that. Okay, let's talk about cashback redemptions. You can redeem your points for a statement credit, direct deposit, or a check by mail. With a statement credit or direct deposit, you can redeem as little as 1 point, but for Citibank to send you a cashback check, you'll need to redeem at least $5 worth of points. And assuming that you have combined your ThankYou Rewards accounts and have either a Custom Cash or a Double Cash, you'll receive 1 cent of cash back per point that you redeem. Now, earlier I mentioned that gift cards can sometimes be a good redemption option, and that's because Citi runs periodic sales that can give you more than 1 cent of value for each of your points when you redeem them for gift cards. But keep in mind that most gift cards can be purchased at a discount, and if you purchase them with your ThankYou Rewards cards, you'll earn points on your purchase, so in most cases, unless gift cards are on sale, cashback is a better redemption option. Now, if you're deep into the travel rewards game, you know that transfers to airline and hotel partners are the way that you can get outsized value from your points. But if you're new to travel rewards, here's how this works. Let's say that you search on American Airlines for a flight using miles. If you don't have enough miles in your American Airlines account to book that flight, you can transfer your Citi ThankYou Points over to American Airlines where they become miles, and then you can book your flight with those transferred miles. The key to maximizing value is finding flights and hotel stays that are relatively cheap in terms of points, but where your alternative that you would otherwise pay for in cash is relatively expensive. So, for example, let's say that I want to take my family of 5 to Chicago, and since I have status with Delta, I want to fly on Delta. Delta charges $176 for that flight one way, assuming that I want to be able to select my seats. But if I can find that same flight for 6,000 Flying Blue miles, this is a great use of points. Booking directly with Delta, I'd pay $880 for 5 people, but if I transfer my ThankYou points to Flying Blue, I'd only pay 30,000 points, points that I'd otherwise cash out for $300, plus about $87 in taxes and fees. That's a good deal. Now, online, you'll find plenty written about program sweet spots. These are niche redemptions where you can do things like fly in the best international first-class products in the world, or stay in overwater villas in the Maldives. But the reality of these types of flashy redemptions is that, well, first, many of these redemption options simply don't exist anymore, but frankly, these don't represent the types of redemptions that you or I are likely to do. So here are some examples of things that I have personally booked with Citi ThankYou Points transfer partners. Flying Blue is the shared frequent flyer program of Air France and KLM, and historically, this has been the program that I've used the most. That's mostly thanks to its monthly promo awards that offer a 25% discount off their lowest priced award tickets, and I've used Flying Blue miles several times to book tickets on KLM to Europe in both economy and business class. But my most recent uses of Flying Blue miles have actually been for booking travel on Delta within the United States. Delta does actually release a fair amount of seats in advance that are bookable by partner airline programs like Flying Blue. And I've been able to book a handful of flights for a few thousand Flying Blue miles where Delta wanted several $100s. And the example that I cited earlier, where I booked a flight for my family of 5 to Chicago for 30,000 points, was from a trip that I actually booked for my family last week. Now, I alluded to the fact that I've used Flying Blue a little bit less recently, but I'm not booking fewer flights. I'm just using Citi's transfer partner Virgin Atlantic more. In the last few years, Virgin Atlantic's program has been incredibly useful for traveling with my family. Last year, my family of 5 traveled to Denmark for a week-long family vacation. We spent a few days in Copenhagen, and then spent a few days in Billund visiting Legoland with the kids. And we booked all of our flights using Virgin Atlantic miles. Our flights to and from Europe, a short flight within Denmark, and keep in mind this is for 5 people, cost us a total of 180,000 Virgin Atlantic miles, plus about $1,100 in cash. Later this year, my mother and I are going to Kenya for a safari tour, and I used Virgin Atlantic miles to book a return flight on Kenya Airways in business class. Now, flights to Africa, especially business class, can be incredibly expensive, and this ticket cost 140,000 Virgin Atlantic points plus $612. Now, that's quite a bit, but for a once-in-a-lifetime trip and flying on the flag carrier of the country I'm visiting, it's going to be worth it. Finally, in 2023, I used Virgin Atlantic points to book a flight from Auckland, New Zealand to Houston in business class on Air New Zealand. When I was doing the research for this video, I actually dug up my old email receipt and found out that I paid 125,000 points plus $92 for 2 tickets. And even though that number is in my email in black and white, I still can't believe it. That was an incredible value redemption. If you're serious about traveling internationally using miles and points, you want to be sure that your points transfer to a Star Alliance carrier. Star Alliance is the largest and oldest of the 3 major airline alliances. It offers the most airlines, the most flights, and the most routes, meaning that you have more opportunities to use your miles with Star Alliance than with anyone else. And when it comes to your ThankYou points, you'll probably be booking most of your awards on Star Alliance through Avianca LifeMiles. Now, there's a lot of good in the Avianca LifeMiles program that I've been able to leverage. Their award prices are generally fair, and the additional taxes and fees that you'll pay for your ticket are low relative to other Star Alliance carriers. In 2023, I redeemed 155,000 LifeMiles plus $180 for 2 tickets to New Zealand in business class on Air New Zealand. And I've used the program for several US domestic tickets on United when prices were relatively cheap in terms of miles. Now, before you go all in with Avianca LifeMiles, be aware that LifeMiles do have a relatively short expiration window. All of your miles that you transfer into the program will expire 1 year after your last account activity. Now, that's easy enough to mitigate by transferring a few more miles to extend your miles expiration date, but it's something to be aware of if you end up transferring your miles and you don't use them immediately. But the bigger issue that I've had with Avianca is that schedule changes, cancellations, and irregular operations can be an absolute nightmare to deal with. If you book your flights, the airline never changes its schedule, and all of your flights go as planned, you'll be fine. But if anything goes wrong, it is an absolute nightmare trying to get somebody to fix it. Okay, if you're not a miles and points guru, your head may be spinning with me talking about all these international airline point programs. Fortunately, there's an airline that I know you're familiar with that you can transfer your points to. American Airlines is Citi's newest transfer partner. Frankly, before Citi added American as a travel partner, ThankYou Rewards was great for beginners because of its cashback redemptions, and great for advanced travel points users, but not really good for the people in the middle. Well, now that American Airlines is a Citi transfer partner, it's easy to get plenty of value out of easy-to-book awards on American Airlines, and I've booked a ton of flights using American Miles. The real secret to using American Airlines miles is to understand that, at least for flights within the United States, American ties its prices in terms of miles to the cash prices of tickets, but only when it expects to sell out a particular flight. If American doesn't plan to completely sell out a flight, maybe because it's keeping its cash prices high in a market where there's not too much competition, it will sell off the seats that it expects to go empty for a relatively small number of miles. I have saved a ton of money by booking tickets in coach to places like Austin, Waco, and Des Moines, and that's probably how I've made most of my redemptions with American Airlines. But in 2023, I did book a flight from Sydney to Dallas in business class on Qantas for 2 people for 80,000 miles and $92 per person. And flying back to the United States on Qantas in business class was a fantastic end to an amazing trip. Now, there are many more examples of how I've used Citi's ThankYou Point transfer partners, and there are plenty of things that you can use the program for that I didn't cover. If you want to dig into that, there's a link in the description to my guide on ThankYou Rewards at cardsandpoints.com. But if you've used Citi ThankYou Points for some fun travel, comment below and leave the specifics so that others in our community can find great travel rewards. If you want to know more about the cards in the Citi ThankYou Rewards ecosystem, check out this video. Or, if you trust Google's algorithm, they think you'll like this one over here. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I hope that you have a great day.